Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Intentional Outlier. My name is Sheila, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my budgeting my second paycheck of the month of January, and I'll kind of go over how I approach it and what has been working for me lately. I have this pink sparkly binder that I use, and in this has all of the budgeting things between my monthly budget and also my trackers for my sinking funds. Let's see, what else about me? I do a zero-based budgeting. I am debt-free. I just paid off my mortgage last year. And so I am here to kind of share some of the things that I use and in hopes that they will be helpful to others. If there's any questions, please ask. If you'd like me to elaborate on something more, I will. Thank you for all the likes and subscribes. They really help my channel grow. And I think it's just important for us to come here and share our wins and also our challenges, because we can learn from each other. And I think that's really important. Okay, so first thing I do when I'm doing my mid-month budgets is I'll go through. So this is the one that I had from the 1st of January. And I have written down all of my bills. So they're all my utilities plus my cushion that I keep in my checking account just as a buffer. And then I'll also keep track of the rollover amount. So how much was left in my bank account before my paycheck hit the account. And then in this case, I also have, currently I am 2 months ahead on my bills. So at the end of each month, I will deposit the bill money for the next month into the bank. And that is what I use to pay those bills. In the meanwhile, I am still accumulating the rest of the savings. So my goal, my personal goal for myself, is to have a year's worth of expenses saved up, which is all of my bills and my weekly spending money, and then also a cushion. So the $200 cushion that I have every month. So on this has all of the bills, the rollover, the paycheck, my 1 month ahead fund, and then our 1 month ahead money. So, and that's the amount. This is the bill money here. And then over here on the side, then I decide when I figure out how much money I have left after my bills are taken care of. So I'll add that amount together first, and then subtract that amount from the total of the amounts over here. And then I use that to decide how I'm going to allocate that money up so that everything has a job. So what I did is I went online and I went to my bank and I highlighted the bills I've already cleared out of my checking account. So, and then I come over to this paycheck that's coming up because I already know how much it's going to be. And I write the remainder of the bills that are left and the amounts for those. So the 2 bills, and then also my cushion. My cushion's always there. And then same thing with over here. I write the rollover and I write the paycheck. I add those 2 numbers together, and then I start subtracting, starting with the bills and the cushion. So yes, I am debt-free, but I do still have 2 credit cards. I have a Visa and an Amazon card, and I have those as an extra security for myself, so that I don't actually have the debit card that's actually attached to my banking accounts. I'm not using that one to buy things online. So what I will do is I pay those balances off every month, so it's not carrying over a balance. So after bills and cushion, the next priority is the Visa and the Amazon. And then from there, then I'll go into my sinking funds and my 1 year ahead fund. So what I also have though is I have my sinking funds that I can use to help pay off those balances on those cards. So what I did earlier today, before filming this, is I went and I kind of knew what categories I had spent in. So I went to both of the invoices, or the statements for both of those cards, and I kind of wrote down the amounts and I came up with the total, and I took that money from those envelopes in my sinking funds and I put that towards the credit card, and whatever the balance is, then I'll pay that from this from what's left after the bills. So in this case, for my Visa, I had $3,776, and then Amazon was $860. So $4,636 was the total between the two cards. And I was able to take out, for my cash envelopes, excuse me, I was able to take out $959. So that brought down that total to $3,677. So, and after my rollover, or after, okay, so my, after my bills are subtracted, I have $4,509 left. So I subtracted the oh my gosh, I subtracted the $3,677 from that amount, which left me with $832 to put towards 1 year ahead and my sinking funds. So because my priority right now is to build my 1 year ahead fund, I have decided to, and my approach to my sinking funds is to contribute at least $1 to each envelope that hasn't reached its goal amount every time money comes in. So currently I have 24 sinking funds. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set aside $24 for sinking funds, and then the remainder, excuse me, will go to the 1 year ahead. So that leaves me with $808. So that is that part. And it does take some time, but it is worth it, I find. This also helps, like, again, with tracking the spending, knowing where your money is going. Sometimes it's shockingly surprising to see, like, the category that I had the most out of was entertainment. I entertained myself a lot. So, I mean, and it's just like, it's small purchases, nothing over $23, but there's multiples, and the total came up to almost $100. So, I mean, it just kind of shows how quickly it can add up. And this is kind of a good, like, reality check. If you are taking the time to write down and track your expenses, this is another tool to do that with. So, okay, so then when I decided I came up with all the numbers that I need for all of the things. And so I have a little more on here that I normally do, but that's okay. I'll explain it when I go to the bank. But so what I normally do is I take just a piece of notebook paper and I fold it into quarters. And then in this top section so for instance, for this one, it is, this is what I made a deposit for my credit card. And it's the denomination, how many, and the dollar value, or amount, yeah, for each denomination. And then the total at the bottom. And I'll just put that in my primary checking, and then I'll transfer it directly over to the credit card. And then, so that's that portion. And then once I was done figuring out how much money was going to go into the 1 year ahead fund, I went and I looked at, so I have these binders that hold my 1 year ahead fund, and each one of them has the month on it, and they have a tracker with each amount. Or actually, so this is January, and I've already paid January's bills. So I'll actually show you February's. That'll be a better example. Okay, so that's February. And this is the tracker that I use. And as I'm adding money to the envelope, I'll just highlight that so I know what I've already put in there. And the money in here is my weekly spending money. And the denominations it's already in the denominations that I need it to be in. To kind of facilitate that activity once a week. And then the money that is behind that, this is the bill money. So this money will be directly deposited into the bank at the end of January in preparation to pay February's bills. And then once I empty it out, I have extra trackers just in the back of the binder that I can get it just prepared for the next time as we're going. So in the first binder, I have, this is January through June, and then this one is July through December. So, and same idea, it's got the same design inside. And I made these last year, and they've held up quite well. So, again, I bought the binders and the envelopes online, and then in bulk, and then I have the machine to cut the vinyl to make the labels for the envelopes. And then I made the trackers just on my computer. I think I used Word to do it. So what I did is I went through and I looked at my trackers for each month. So I knew I already had everything for February, and that I had a few gaps in the spending for the other months that are coming up. So I went through, and this is my table that I use to figure out how many bills that I need of each denomination. So on the side, I have the category, and then the dollar amount for each category. So I've got March, April, May, 1 year ahead, and then sinking funds. So, and then I just kind of, I figured out which categories I still needed to fill and what denominations I need for each of those categories. And then went that way. So when I'm doing this, so my approach to this was I completely filled March, completely filled April, and filled part of May. And then the leftover is just going to go, I'm going to find an envelope and put the $8 in it. And that can build, I can add that to the next month's of where it can go. So, and then the sinking fund's $24. Like I said, I'm going to put $1 in each envelope for each sinking fund that hasn't reached its goal amount. Okay, so after I figure out what denominations I need for each category, then I'll come down and I will add each one up. And then in this row, it's the number of bills. And then down here is the dollar amount that it equals. So for ones, I had 27, which is $27. For fives, I had 17, and it's $85. For tens, I had 16, which is $160. 20s, I had 8, which is $160. And 50s, I had 8, so $400. So I take that information and I add all of it up. I do all the numbers to make sure the math is still mathing, that this amount equals what that amount equals, which equals the amount that's on the budget that I made. So all the math adds up. And then what I'll do with that information is in this corner of the paper, then I write down the ones, the fives, the tens, the 20s, and the 50s. Since I'm only going up to 50. Sometimes I'll do hundreds, but not this week. So then I transfer over the number of each bill, sorry, the number of each bill, and then the dollar amount of each bill. And then I will put the total at the top. And then before I take this to the bank, I'll put the last four of the account number next to the name of it to make it easier for the tellers to find the account and do their magic. And so that is how I'm trying to think of anything else I want to put in this video. So if there's any questions, please let me know. If you'd like me to elaborate on anything, please ask. I will. I appreciate you liking and subscribing and sharing the videos with people that may benefit from them. Just trying to share some information and help other people where I can. And share the tools that helped me to be successful in my journey too, because I'm still on a journey. Even though I have achieved some pretty monumental things, and I'm super proud of myself for that. I'm still working on building. So, okay, so that is it for my budget for the second paycheck of January. And all right. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. All right, thank you guys. I'll see you next time.